Hello and welcome to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. I am your host, Gary Morgan. With me, as always, because even though he was absent last week, he was
Eh,
here guiding me a little bit. We
As
did
always,
talk about
except
what we wanted to talk about. So Jim Stam is back. He's still fighting it, but he's here.
yeah, dude, just a really nasty cold, and it sucked. You know me when someone like the Fort gets on, and we could really talk some ball. That's what I wanted to do. So I was glad for you. I was sad for me.
Well,
Let's just put it that
it
way.
probably spared him 30 minutes of defending the tripod approach behind the plate, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
let's get a comment right away from Doug Smith. He says it's the danger noodle hour. He knows how I love to call the Arizona Diamondbacks the danger noodles. I've also come to find the nope ropes pretty cool too. But
Yeah.
we'll go with the Arizona Diamondbacks because they've earned to be called their proper name, as they've just made the World Series for the first time in quite some time, Jim. And
Hmm.
we also get the Texas Rangers, who haven't been in it in quite some time. So
Yeah.
two teams coming out of a rebuild at different times, different approaches, meeting up in the World Series. And don't you know that means the Pirates are going to win it next year for sure?
Well, obviously, do the math, Gary. I mean,
It's right there,
it's
man. It's
right
right
there.
there. So, I mean, let's talk about this matchup proper though. It's just as baseball fans, I think
Hmm.
it's a fair matchup.
Yeah.
I like um, I like Texas in this matchup. I think they probably have the better top end. If everything's firing on all cylinders for both clubs, I feel like Texas probably comes out on top. That said, Arizona's been super opportunistic, man, and everybody that they needed to step up plus two have done so. So
Yeah.
this could go either way. Hot team hasn't been really put out yet, you know. Like,
Right.
so what do you
Well,
think? Who are you? I don't like to say who you're rooting for because we don't have really rooting interest here at all.
yeah. Yeah.
But who do you like?
Yeah, I think it's actually going to be a really entertaining series. I really do. And I hope we get to see that. And, I'm just trying to stay in the box of enjoying the matchup for what it is instead of looking big picture on what it means for baseball and all this stuff.
Yeah,
But I think it's too, I tend to agree with you. I think the Rangers are more top heavy, but I will say Arizona, they're just really solid. You know what I mean? Like they're a solid ball club. And before we even get too far ahead of ourselves, what those two teams accomplished in those championship series and what they did to get to the World Series in that championship series is nothing short of like incredible. The fact that they had to win those games when they did, how they did, on the road, game sevens. I mean, it was just incredible, Gary. Like
yeah.
that was if people want to make the claim that they don't deserve to be there, you do that under those conditions, man, I don't have any issue with it whatsoever.
And I don't think that the expanded playoffs are necessarily to blame. I mean, I don't think playoffs in any sport have really ever been about the best team winning. I think
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of regular season champs that for whatever reason don't have what it takes in the playoffs to get the job done. You know, you see that in the NHL a lot, and at least in the NHL I can say, well, the referees call the games differently in the playoffs. It's like that
Hmm.
in the NCAA. It used to be that way too. The Big East teams would get penalized because they were used to mugging each other, and then they get into the NCAA tournament, and all of a sudden, well, that stuff's getting called, and
Right.
that's you know, and it changed the style of basketball you could play or hockey you could play, or you had to persevere to get through the playoffs. But baseball, it's the same game. It's just the same odds that it always is.
Yeah,
Success in baseball is, 300% of the time you get a hit, right?
right. And I mean, we've talked about this before. Is like all you're trying to do during the regular season is win like 6 of 10, a 6 out of 10.
Yeah,
Like, and that translates to being a good team over the long haul. There's this weird, like, almost like this weird college football gatekeeping right now going on with baseball, which is like we can only have the best teams in, and they're the ones that only deserve the chance. I would submit that that's what makes sports great is that when you do have teams that can beat good teams, uh, teams that are better than them. I mean, no, we remember certain games and certain series because the underdog actually can win and has won. And I think
yeah.
if you can't eliminate that, why would you want to?
No, I mean, and some people call what we see in the playoffs, you know, parody. I think it's probably false parody. I mean,
Yeah.
there may, for instance, there hasn't been a repeat champ in MLB since 2000, but
Oh, that loves to get tossed around.
people love that, right?
Yeah.
So they toss that one around all the time. But you look at what you're actually seeing in the playoffs, dude. It's the same. It's the same people, right?
Yeah. I mean, aside from the here and there, somebody else pops in there every once in a while. But
Right.
yeah.
And you got your other teams that go through their cycles and they get in for 2, 3 years, right? And then they're back to where they belong, according to the baseball world, because it's so about media markets making it. As soon
Hmm.
as it was like going to be Texas and Arizona, baseball's minds melted because they see no ratings for their game. Well, if you ever really want to get what you think you're missing in Major League Baseball, you have to get to the point where you make your game attractive enough that the teams, the logos, don't matter for whether you're going to get ratings or not.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
the
or
NFL,
not a massive amount of difference.
yeah, like the NFL, you honestly think that they think Indianapolis and Cleveland is getting the same ratings as Dallas, Washington? No, they don't think that. But they also know it's not such a dire drop off that they're not
Yeah.
that they
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
have a meltdown if that ends up being something that people see in a big game.
Right. Well, they built it so the product stands on its own no matter what.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so let's before we go to a break, real quick, let me get back to this series. I will say this. I think the Rangers should win. I'm leaning towards the Diamondbacks a little bit, and I'll watch the Rangers sweep them, whatever. But I really do think, Gary, it could come down to one thing, and I could see this going either way. I will say if Max Scherzer is any kind of Max Scherzer that he could be, I think it tilts heavily towards Texas because he's such an X factor. If he's the
Yeah.
Max Scherzer where we've seen the last, couple times out and he's, not 100% and he looks, I think he's a tipping point, really. I think you could watch how he does and it could really swing that series.
I actually agree with you. He is a great fulcrum for this series.
Mm-hmm.
And if they end up winning and he significantly contributes, that will be all they got out of him for that
Oh,
trade, and it will be 100% worth it.
that's what you're hoping for, if nothing else, right? That he steps up when it matters.
Yeah. I'd have to say, like, just because I like to root for something when I'm watching these series,
Right.
I'm rooting for the Rangers, if only because they've never won the series.
Mm.
And the D-backs have won, and they won the one with Kurt Schilling and Roger Clemens and all that. So, um,
Yeah.
I, it's not that I hate Arizona or anything. I'm just saying I think I'd like to see Texas get one. You know,
Yeah, that's fair for a fan base that's sitting there with we complain here in Pittsburgh, But yeah, they've never experienced it. So yeah,
Right.
I can get on board with that.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, talk about some more Bucko stuff. Like, how about Brian Hayes?
Nice.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
All right, and we're back to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. If you're not already doing so, please hit the like button down here. Hit that little bell so you get notifications about the show coming up, so I don't have to work so hard promoting it. You know, all that stuff like that. Help us out if you could. And if you're listening to the show instead, make sure you subscribe and do the same thing on Spotify, Apple, all that. It's really helpful to us. Thanks a lot. So Ryan Lytle, he comments, how about that hardware for Key? Just need that gold glove now. So he didn't get the gold glove, but he did get the Best Defender of the Year award. And he did get, the Best Third Baseman award, right? So we have to be pretty excited about what that kind of says to those who vote. And specifically, this is Defensive Player of the Year from the Fielding Bible, which is prestigious, but, it's not always predictive of the gold glove. And it looks like Jim has lost his audio. Things are going badly for Jim. He's disconnected now. I could tap dance here a little bit, I guess. We do that for you. So the Pirates got a lot from Brian Hayes here with the. I'm gonna have to end this, man, for right now. We'll start it back up.